Welcome on in, everybody, to my top 30 movies of 2025. Make sure to like and subscribe to our channel, follow us on all our social pages, and you can watch my list for next year progress throughout the year by following me on LetterBoxd at Jeff D. Lowe, which is also the same handle I use in all my other social platforms. We're a few weeks into 2026. I needed to catch up. There's a couple movies I wanted to see. None of them made my top 30, so it might have been a waste of time, but I just wanted to make sure I saw everything before I drop my final top 30 of the year. So here we go, without further ado, the top 30 movies of 2025, according to me. And guess what? If you disagree, I love that. That's beautiful. That's how it should be. That's movies. Actually, in the comments, please drop your top 5 of the year. What are your top 5 best movies of 2025? And actually, I want to say before we start, too, I've watched a ton of top lists for this year. And there's a common theme I've noticed a lot this year. People love to talk about their top movies and bring in like discourse around them or negative comments from other people. Man, if you love a movie, talk about why you love the movie. I don't want to hear why other people don't like it. I don't want to hear why some people think it's not good. No. I want to hear you tell me why you love the movie. That's what matters. Love what you love. If you think a movie's amazing, fucking say it's amazing. Don't talk about why other people think it's amazing. So I'm going to try my best here to not bring up the negatives. Every now and then, it's going to sneak in, and maybe the discourse or the discussion around it is such a big deal you got to talk about it. But I'm going to try my best to just tell you why I love these movies. Here we go. All right, I'll go through these first 10 movies a little quicker before we get to the top 20. At number 30, with an 84 out of 100, we have a movie that I think it's pretty unique. I don't think many people have this on their list. It's Bob Trevino Likes It, the first notable theatrical release for director-writer Tracy Lehman. This movie, it's about a woman becoming a friend online with someone who shares the same name as her selfish father. Complete delight. Schmaltzy? Absolutely. Maybe a bit over the top at times, but there's something very relatable and heartwarming to the story here, largely thanks to the great chemistry between the leads, Barbie Ferreira and John Leguizamo. For my 29th ranked movie of the year, we have Bad Shabbos from up-and-coming director Daniel Robbins. An accidental death gets in the way of a big family dinner in one of this year's better releases in the comedy space. Very small movie, not a ton of people have seen it, but I say absolutely check it out. Packed with some quick wit, great comedic tempo, as well as a really great cast headlined by Kira Sedgwick. This is one of my more hidden gem suggestions of 2025, and it has recently hit streaming platforms. How about Josh O'Connor making his debut on the list with number 28, The Mastermind by Kelly Reichardt, one of our most thoughtful working directors, a very slow, patient burn, kind of a fresh take on the heist genre, a genre that should always welcome something a little different. The Mastermind is another vehicle for Josh O'Connor to really flex his muscles, his talent, as an emerging threat to claim the spot as one of Hollywood's best actors. Sometimes a change of pace like this really just hits. I really enjoyed The Mastermind. The Long Walk, one of what seems like 500 Stephen King adaptations to hit the big screen this past year, lands at 27 on my list. This movie, where 50 teenage boys compete in a grueling walk where they must keep pace or they'll be executed until one person is left standing, is really good. But it's two performances that stand out as the reason it works so well. Cooper Hoffman and David Johnson, not going to get recognition during the award season, but honestly, they're kind of up there as two of the better performances of the years. Genre bias kills really any potential for them to get, a Oscar nomination or something like that for The Long Walk. But I'm telling you, both Hoffman and Johnson turn in award-worthy performances, and they're worth the ticket alone. All right, 2025 was the year of actors playing 2 roles in a movie, and the first one to appear in my top 30 is Mickey 17, an 85 out of 100 for me, and the first project from Bong Joon-ho since he swept up the movie world with Parasite. Mickey 17 is a weird one for a few reasons. First, it's about a futuristic company who is trying to colonize a planet where some workers deal with dangerous tasks and are cloned over and over and over again when they die. The other reason it's weird is because there were some expectations, for myself included, that this movie would end the year as a real awards contender because of what Bong Joon-ho has done throughout his career. I hate mentioning that, and I said I wouldn't get negative, but I just want to say that it probably should be acknowledged that I do think expectations hurt maybe the way people felt about this, because while maybe I was thinking when I left the theater, okay, this isn't Parasite, the more I thought about it, I'm like, I really fucking enjoyed that movie, even though, yes, maybe it's not going to end the year as an Oscar contender. May not be Bong's best, but it's still really good. The dual Robert Pattinson roles are fantastic. It's quirky. The movie's goofy. It's fun at times. Has a lot of heart. And all of the big emotional swings this movie, the important stuff, that all lands. And that's what matters, and it leaves an impact. It's hard not to be joined by Robert Pattinson, especially when you get to deal with him 500,000 times in one movie. Are regular straight comedies back on the menu, folks? Because I'll tell you what, 2025 gave a pretty good effort, and the Naked Gun Legacy sequel, somehow, some way, lands at number 25 on my list. Another 85 out of 100. I will say, I don't know why I'm too surprised. Akiva Schaffer, the director, knocked it out of the park, and he has a pretty great track record. Hot Rod, Chippendale Rescue Rangers was a surprise a few years ago, Pop Star, but this was, I don't know, maybe it's because it's a legacy sequel. You don't expect it. Liam Neeson was elite in terms of casting as Frank Drebin Jr. Pamela Anderson was awesome in support. And it's the mile-a-minute joke fest that you'd expect and slides right in with its 1988 original counterpart. More comedies like this. We just simply don't have enough comedies. And yes, I know this is existing IP, but I don't really care. Take the swing. If you got to bring back IP to do it, sure. But take the swing, get funny, creative people behind these movies, and keep fucking releasing them. All right, let's keep it going with another piece of pre-existing IP at number 24. I did another out-of-nowhere surprise, really. It's the animated Predator movie from this year, Predator Killer of Killers. Well, K-pop Demon Hunters is going to clean up this award season. It was a huge deal, obviously, especially in the animated category. Predator Killer of Killers, I think, would have gotten my vote. This is kind of a success that makes you go, why haven't they done an animated movie in the Predator franchise for? Because it just works that well. The story's great. The action and animation are badass. Kind of slides in perfectly with the rest of the franchise too, especially the top movies in the franchise. It's a franchise that's kind of had some stumbles as of late, though. It did release 2 pretty solid movies last year alone. And it's kind of found that new life under the Disney banner. Director Dan Trachtenberg, who's kind of done all these movies, including Prey, he's trying to make different types of Predator movies. But I know he wants to keep doing that, and I respect that, but I do think the animated version of Predator works so well that I do hope this is the well he goes back to next. All right, let's highlight the absolute most miserable shit released in 2025 at number 23. And I say that with love, because holy hell, Bring Her Back is one insane-ass movie. The Philippou brothers, who released the 2023 hit Talk to Me, which was on many people's top lists of that year, this is one of the most fucked up horror movies you will ever see. They pull no punches. I was in shambles leaving the theater. It was as quiet as I heard a packed theater at the end of a movie in a very long time. They lean a little heavier into shock value with this one over story compared to Talk to Me, but it does hammer home one of the wildest takes on grief and loss you will quite simply ever see. Sally Hawkins, very good. One of the better performances of 2025. That's kind of gone, not really talked about as much as the years gone on. This will rattle you. Body horror, possession, every element of horror meant to flip your head upside down, they kind of nail here. I will throw a warning, though. Be very careful, because if you are not an intense horror fan, you might go see this movie and then get back to me and say, why the fuck did you suggest that movie? It's that crazy. Inject number 22 right into my veins, folks, because nobody loves movies about movies more than I do. And tossing Noah Baumbach's writing and George Clooney's acting chops together, and you get quite the stew going, folks. And that is Jay Kelly from Netflix. May not be Baumbach's best work, I will say that, but he still gives Clooney enough to work with to tell an emotional, deep dramedy that subverts what you'd expect from a story like this. Clooney plays a famous movie star trying to navigate his past as his present involves celebrating what made him into such a star. Adam Sandler, Laura Dern, Billy Crudup, Riley Keough join in for just a ton of great performances. And without giving much away, I especially love the dream sequences and creative choices used by Baumbach to convey flashbacks, personal conversation between characters, so on and so forth. It's all very Fellini-esque. And I highly suggest your next movie be a Federico Fellini release if you're not familiar with that film reference I just made. And to round out these first 10 movies, let's give out an 86 out of 100 to movie number 21, Richard Linklater's Blue Moon. Fresh off of playing the villain in The Black Phone 2, Ethan Hawke plays famous lyricist and Broadway songwriter Lawrence Hart on the opening of the hit show Oklahoma, which was partially written by his former collaborator, Richard Rodgers Hammerstein. That may ring a bell. Black Phone 2 villain. Broadway icon. You want to talk about fucking range? Ethan Hawke has it, and I think in a way that many others can't really match it. Linklater essentially gave Hawke this role and then said, okay, act the shit out of this for 100 straight minutes. And the result is going to be Hawke's first lead actor nomination, most likely at the Oscars. Blue Moon has a quick-hitting story, script with a character grappling with all kinds of relatable emotional swings, and it's quite fantastic. Richard Linklater is, I mean, the guy drops like 3 or 4 movies in a year, and for the most part, they're always fantastic. And Blue Moon was quite the delight. Okay, to the top 20 we go with another 86 out of 100 at number 20. You want to talk about delights? You get to go from Richard Linklater to another person who loves to make multiple movies in a year, Steven Soderbergh. And it's time to talk about Black Bag. A husband and a wife team played by Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett deal with questions of loyalty and betrayal in this mystery spy thriller, which can be described with a slew of buzzwords from sharp to slick to sexy, delicious, you name it. By the way, the house they live in this movie, oh my God, unbelievable. There's an atmosphere and feel to this movie which not many directors can achieve outside of Steven Soderbergh. When it comes to making people, places, things look and feel cool, the Oscar winner is quite simply, I think, the master at doing that. Much like the previously mentioned Richard Linklater, as I said before, this was also one of 2 really good releases from Soderbergh this year. You have Nouvelle Vague, by the way, from Linklater is the other one he did. Soderbergh, though, also did a movie called Presence, like a horror movie, and he did this. How he continues to make good movies, like in different genres and different styles and ways, it's just fascinating. It's unbelievable work. All right, sometimes you just need to have a little fucking fun, folks, right? That's what the movies are for, right? Sometimes you got to have some fun. It also helps when the fun is being served up to you on a platter by Joseph Kosinski, the brains behind Top Gun Maverick, with my number 19 movie, F1. This movie knows exactly what it needs to be. An incredible racing spectacle, and it pulls that off with the most breathtaking shots from a car you will ever see. They literally invented cameras and new rigs to give you viewpoints from these cars you couldn't even really dream of seeing just a few years ago. You toss in veterans like Brad Pitt, a performance from Damson Idris, which makes you kind of say, okay, this guy's got the goods. He's a future star. You got the likes of Javier Bardem, Carrie Condon, and really with all those pieces, you have a modern classic sports movie. I've actually seen people putting F1 in their top 3 for the year. Some people have it 1 or 2. For me, though, and I have to be negative for one reason in particular, it has my least favorite character of the year. It's the reason it's not higher. The Tobias Menzies villain character, antagonist, whatever you want to call it in this movie, is so unnecessary, so cartoonish, and so bad. But I will look past it because I still had a great time here. And credit to Apple, because they actually left this movie in theaters, the best place to watch it, for a very long time. And they even released the physical copy of it before ever putting it up on Apple TV+. That's great to see. I'd argue we didn't see enough Ralph Fiennes in 2025. Luckily, we already got him in the sequel to the movie I have ranked number 18. 28 years later, coming in at an 87 out of 100. A sequel 20 years in the making from Danny Boyle, the newest release in the franchise. Well, as of right now, it's not even the newest anymore because they already released a sequel in early 2026, but you get my point. It takes some big swings with its story, and I think it really pays off. This is also the first time, hint, hint, Alex Garland shows up on this list this year, and it's a writing credit for this movie. Ton of emotion in the sequel, the kinds of emotion you aren't used to seeing in the zombie genre. I really argue that this franchise has led the way in terms of taking said genre to the next level, and 28 years later is no exception whatsoever. It continues along that line in history of the, I guess we'll call it the 28 Days franchise, really jumping ahead of everything else that has zombies in it. And again, Ralph Fiennes is in it, who is elite in literally every role. All right, another 87 out of 100 flies in at number 17 with arguably the best performance of the year by a female actor. Rose Byrne, who won the Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Comedy or Musical, is dynamite in a movie that doesn't really fit that category, and that is If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. Not exactly a chuckle fest, but what it is a simple, grounded story stirred by the world's largest spoon of stress and anxiety. Enjoy this movie with a side of a nervous breakdown, folks. It's a story of a mother working through a life where she has to handle her child's mysterious illness, a husband who's not around, a literal falling apart world around her, and so much more. There's a hole in the life of our main character in many ways, and If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You takes you on an unsettling journey that thrusts you right into her shoes. You feel everything. The filmmaker's decisions on how to handle the daughter character, which is not much of a spoiler here, on how much, or in this case, how little they show her, I think adds a lot to how uneasy and unsettling the movie plays out. Like I said, you feel every emotion with this character, and that's partially due to the writing for Mary Bronstein, but mostly due to Rose Byrne's career-defining performance. It's just that good. Dark, impactful psychological drama here, and it shakes you. It really shakes you by the end of the movie. And one of my favorite people of all time is in this movie, Conan O'Brien. Need I say more? Director Kleber Mendonça Filho, who did Bacurau, one of 2019's best movies, is back with The Secret Agent, a Brazilian crime thriller that lands at number 16 in my rankings. The story about a man named Marcelo, played by Wagner Moura, who makes an attempt to move to escape his past, but soon learns, when he does make that move, that his new home isn't exactly the calm hiding place that he seeks. Let's start with Moura, who is worth the price of admission alone. The Narcos actor, where I think many people would know him, might be the favorite at the Oscars if it was literally any other year. There's this unmatched suave, and dare I say, in a much less, traditional term, sauce that he brings to the character, and you can't help but want to root for him and be right alongside him. And the director really puts you in that setting too. This captures this 1970s Brazil feel. It's just there's a special feeling to it. It's visually rich and atmosphere and setting, and you feel literally transported into the movie, almost as if you're living the story right along with the characters. It just looks perfect. As for the story, there's a real patience that Kleber demands from the audience, but he does so in a way where they clearly respect our intelligence as well. Like they want you to kind of put the pieces together. They want you to feel patient, and they trust that if you're going to see this movie, you're going to do that. You cannot miss an ounce of this movie. The way they tell the story, it kind of weaves back and forth, and you slowly put it together as it all unfolds. It blends genre, tone, mood, and the ending is easily one of the year's most memorable. To the top 15 we go, and it comes with a reminder that Rian Johnson should probably be thrown in jail if he stops making Knives Out movies. His newest effort, Wake Up Dead Man, is my number 15 movie of the year with an 88 out of 100. As with his first two entries in the franchise, Johnson surprises within this whodunit mystery, but never in ways you expect or see coming. It's got humor, it's got dramatics, some tender moments also that will really catch you off guard in the best ways. Impressively, this is also one of the better attempts at religion on screen that I can ever remember seeing. Of course, as good as the mystery of who died, how, what, when, where, why is once again, there are also standouts on the cast who deserve credit for carrying this movie along. Josh Brolin, electric, really goes for it. Daniel Craig, look, we know Benoit Blanc is the straw that stirs the drink here. But we must talk about someone yet again on this list, showing up for the second time, Josh O'Connor. He is not going to get a nomination to the Oscars, which is a bummer, but he probably should, because he is unbelievable Wake Up Dead Man, and he commands the screen, which seems impossible that anyone can command the screen over Daniel Craig's Benoit Blanc, but he kind of makes it his own movie. Like Rian Johnson, I think, recognized, the spotlight should really be on Josh O'Connor's character. It's hard to take a genre like this and give you something different, because the whodunit twist mystery, they're a dime a dozen. People love them. I love them. And yet Rian Johnson continues to reinvent the wheel and people's expectation with this franchise. And we just, quite simply, need more Knives Out. All right, one superhero movie in my top 30, and it shows up with an 88 out of 100 at number 14. I enjoyed Thunderbolts, different vibe and tone than what we're used to in the MCU, and Fantastic Four wasn't perfect, but I thought that was a pretty delightful entry for a franchise that's been bad. But right here, we have to go to DC for James Gunn's first movie while controlling the DCU, Superman. This is an awesome time, plain and simple. I there's really no better way to describe it. I could wax poetic and try to sound all film nerdy, but I'd rather just stress how fun this ended up being. Superman has been a tough character in recent years when it comes to grabbing audiences' attention. I know there's a lot of debate about, the Henry Cavill Superman, and we go further back, some of the sequels to the original, obviously not all that great. People just don't seem to find him as relatable as Batman, right? And the fact that weakness is almost not in the vocabulary around Superman, I think that's a tough thing for people to really latch onto. But James Gunn was able to make him human without sacrificing his power as well. There's kind of a chip on the shoulder of this character. He has a great monologue in this movie, a fantastic monologue. And it's a character that you just love after spending one movie with him. David Cronenberg is Superman. I love Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill was, I think, a very good Superman for what Zack Snyder was trying to do, but David Cronenberg is this character. He is Clark Kent. He is Superman, and he's a perfect casting. Same can be said about many other castings in this movie as well. Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor, fantastic. Rachel Brosnahan. How about Skylar Gisondo as Jimmy Olsen, a character no one ever really correctly portrays on screen? They did it here. And as he did with Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Gunn's inclusion of off-the-beaten-path characters like Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, Metamorpho, they had so much of the energy of the story. It's not what you expect and results in a great mix of superhero dramatics and fun. They needed a big swing to open up this new DCU, and I think they do so in a near perfect way. I can't wait to see kind of more of what Gunn has to offer with the DC universe. All right, my number 13 movie of the year is fascinating for a few reasons, both on and off the screen. And that movie is none other than Iranian filmmaker Jafar Panahi's It Was Just an Accident. Let's get the heavy off-the-screen reasons out of the way. Panahi was filming It Was Just an Accident in secret and illegally, according to Iran, after he was released from prison, a sentence stemming from protesting the attention of other filmmakers. It wasn't his first time in prison, and it may not be his last, because this past December, while in the United States winning awards for It Was Just an Accident, Panahi was given a new prison sentence on charges of creating propaganda against the political system in Iran. An incredible story of a filmmaker defying restrictions on art in his home country and holding firm to his beliefs. It's a man who once smuggled out of Iran a movie he had on a USB drive, hid it inside of a cake. Now, let me be clear, too. I'm not saying this is on my list because of those reasons. I'm not giving it a higher score for that either. But I feel like you can't talk about this movie and not discuss the making of it. It's just that unbelievable. But on top of the unbelievable story comes an excellent movie as well. The story of a man who encounters the person he believes to be his former torturer, only to face doubts when countered with a firm denial. It was just an accident. Bend genres, which you're going to hear me say a lot because we had a lot of that in my top movies of the year, a lot of genre bending. And it throws a ton of different emotions at you to chew on, all while slowly building up immense amounts of tension. And it all ends in a way that will have you pacing around your house in deep thought for days afterwards. Trust me, it's a dramatic thriller that everyone needs to see for a multitude of reasons. We got Alex Garland again, folks, this time as a co-director and co-writer with Ray Mendoza, the movie Warfare, coming in at number 12, and the first movie on my list hit the 90 out of 100 or above threshold. This is a follow-up to his critically acclaimed 2024 movie Civil War. Warfare, though, much different in terms of how it looks at war, and it's one of the most unique takes in the genre we've really ever seen. I try not to use this buzzword very often, but this is truly a fucking experience. It's as raw of a look at war we've seen on screen in quite some time, and co-director and writer Ray Mendoza, former Navy SEAL, brings this feeling of realism that really just shakes you in your chair. There's a couple moments that literally you could just see everyone in the theater kind of rock back. There's an incredible joyous opening scene too, which I won't spoil what happens in it, that's meant to throw you for a loop before placing you into an insanely tense 90-minute ride. It feels both very cinematic, but also somehow with none of the qualities of a traditional movie at all. Warfare strips away as much of the Hollywood as possible and borders on at times it feels like a horror movie, like a war horror movie. That's how real they want your, and I'm going to say it again, experience to be. They've been trying to make like a Call of Duty movie for years. I think Alex Garland and Ray Mendoza just did it in 2025. I wish luck to anyone who actually makes the Call of Duty movie, because I don't think it can be anything close to as good as this. I'm not sure Yorgos Lanthimos is aware he doesn't have to make a movie every single year, but I'm quite glad he keeps doing it. His 2025 release, Begonia, lands just outside the top 10 on my list at number 11 with another 90 out of 100. I don't want to give away too much about this movie because you really don't want to know too much, but it centers around two conspiracy-fueled men kidnapping a big-time CEO because they're convinced she's an alien who wants to destroy the world. If you haven't heard anything about Begonia, I will let you soak that in for a quick second. It's another Emma Stone Yorgos team up, and she once again shows why she is likely the best working actress in Hollywood, right? Like, I think most people would agree with that at this point. I'm not sure I've ever seen anyone who just consistently has to be saying, oh yeah, she was born for this role. Oh, she was born for this role. She was just born for every role. As great as Stone was in this movie, though, I think Jesse Plemons deserves just as much credit, and he might have stolen the show. For as many accolades as Stone receives on a regular basis, Plemons has continued to quietly fly around Hollywood as one of our best actors who doesn't garner the appropriate attention. Like, a lot of people know he's very good, but somehow it's still not enough. This movie is something else. It's really something else. And I will pull back from really saying much more or spoiling anything because you just don't want to know anything. But Yorgos knows how to make a fucking movie and knows how to throw something at the audience that they've never seen or really thought about before. All right. Time for the top 10. My number 10 movie of 2025, folks, is... That's right, Tim Robinson into the top 10 with his dramatic cringe comedy Friendship. My third 90 out of 100 on the year. Where do you even begin with Friendship? Directed by Andrew DeYoung, who also directed a few episodes of Robinson's incredible HBO cringe comedy Chair Company, which, if you haven't seen it, watch it. Friendship is the story of a very awkward husband and father becoming quite obsessed with his new neighbor, played by Paul Rudd. He pairs up perfectly with Tim Robinson. They have incredible chemistry, and I have not stopped thinking about it since I saw it, and it might be the movie I've rewatched the most from this year. I think You Should Leave. Cringe comedy isn't everyone's cup of tea, but what happened with this movie is, and Chair Company, by the way, because they both do it, it's just fascinating to me. Somehow Robinson had the balls to do it, by the way, but took his cringe, awkward comedy style and dropped it smack dab in the middle of a very serious drama about male friendship and loneliness. But it's also, like, not serious. It's this insanely bizarre mix. It's so damn funny, and there is one scene involving a Subway restaurant that legitimately... I think it's my favorite scene of the year. If not, it's tied. Between this and Chair Company, Tim Robinson had an unbelievable year. At number 9, with a 92 out of 100, next up we have... Train Dreams is an absolutely breathtaking movie, and one that I'm not totally sure Netflix knew they had in their bag for the year. They know now. And while they were pushing Frankenstein and Jay Kelly, which I found okay, Frankenstein, and really good, respectively, their real breadwinner on the year is Train Dreams. This is one of those movies every year I see and then throw into a bucket where I use the word visceral. I'm going to use that here. Train Dreams might have a stronghold on the word visceral for the year. It is stunning to look at and paints beautiful, poetic imagery. You could watch this movie on mute. Poetic is probably a good word to also use for this story. It's tragic, it's devastating, but still finds a way to inspire with kind of a delicate brushstroke of acceptance and peace. The movie tells the story of a logger navigating his way through the experience of living in the early to mid 1900s. He experiences both love, loss, many moments that shape the way he views his time on Earth. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful emotional story, and it really sticks with you through kind of both tears and smiles. It's the classic story of adversity, and not always, or kind of sometimes ever, finding the brightest path through life. Like, you just may never get that path, no matter how hard you try. But it's how you or how someone takes those punches and finds a way to still kind of bring it all together when it matters or in the end. Train Dreams isn't the type of story we often get in Hollywood anymore, I feel like. We used to get a lot of things like this, but not anymore. And I'm just very happy that Clint Bentley, along with a great cast, by the way, Joel Edgerton, Felicity Jones, I'm just glad they brought this one to us, and I'm glad Netflix has it, because I hope more people are going to see it because of how easy it is to access now. All right, let's move on to number 8, A Spot Held By. I'm a very proud Ari Aster apologist. With a 93 out of 100, Eddington shows up at the 8th spot. An apologist might not be the right word, but let me stress that I love everything he served up. When it comes to taking a big, unique, interesting hack at an idea, a genre, a story, nobody does it quite like Ari Aster. He goes for it. Midsummer, Hereditary, or The Wild Beau's Afraid, which I was a fan of. Aster, he's not here to churn out the same thing over and over again. And that is very much the case with Eddington. So many people have failed already at trying to make a COVID-era movie, but Aster finds a way to get it done. With Joaquin Phoenix and Pedro Pascal in the lead roles, flanked by Emma Stone in a supporting role, Eddington is about a showdown between a sheriff and mayor from a small town during the COVID pandemic in 2020. And as you can expect from Aster, you get chaos, madness, and insanity. It all erupts with a story that has a lot to say. There's a lot thrown at you with this story, and it's meant to ruffle your feathers and offend, regardless of which side of the political or social landscape you land on. I've seen some people say like, oh, this way. No, it's supposed to make, I think, both sides react that way. And it's no small task to capture the dreaded insanity that was the COVID pandemic, but Aster bombs everything at you, and he recreates that feeling quite well, I think. Eddington is funny, it's thought-provoking, it's tense, it's insanely uncomfortable, filled with some excellent action scenes. That's right, Ari Aster can also direct great action, apparently. And it's a perfect movie for the amount of absurdity that you've come to expect from Ari Aster. I'll talk about another movie later that has a lot to say as well in kind of the same space, but ends with a more uplifting beat. In contrast, this movie does literally none of that, but it absolutely works for what Ari Aster was going for with Eddington. One of my favorite movie-going experiences of the year comes in at number 7 with Weapons. A 93 out of 100 blew me away, and I wish I could see it in a theater full of people yet again, or every time I rewatch it. I wish I could see it with other people in a theater. Zach Cregger's follow-up to Barbarian, a 2022 movie that is slowly aged as one of the better of that year. Weapons, though, is just fucking batshit insane. What would you do if one day all but one kid in a grade school class mysteriously vanished on the same night at the same exact time? That's the story of this movie, which will shock you and throw you for a loop at the most unexpected times. The casting of this movie was spot on too. You have Josh Brolin, Julia Garner, Alden Ehrenreich, Austin Abrams, Benedict Wong, and of course, Amy Madigan, who very well could win Oscar Gold for supporting performance. And I think it's the genre that's holding her back a little bit, but I won't shed too much on her role because I'll just stop there if you haven't seen it. The crazy thing is, though, that wasn't the original cast. Almost every key player was a replacement following production delays stemming from the 2023 Hollywood strike, yet somehow they nailed it on the second attempt at casting this movie. I've said the term genre bending a lot, and I'm going to keep saying it because this is that. It's an action movie, it's a horror movie, it's a thriller. Cregger cooks kind of all of it up. And he picks a character perspective-based storytelling format as well. And I think it plays perfectly into how it all unfolds for the audience. After 2 hits and a movie many have in their top 5 or 3 on the year, I think it's safe to say Zach Cregger has everybody's attention at this point. All right, just outside the top 5, we have another 93 out of 100 with my next pick. And at number 6, we have... It's been an incredible year for international and foreign language movies, and the runner-up in that field for me is No Other Choice. For over 20 years now, South Korean filmmaker Park Chan-wook has made nothing but just complete heat. Old Boy, The Handmaiden, Decision to Leave, and the darkly hilarious and thrilling No Other Choice. After being cast aside by an ever-changing and evolving job market, our main character brilliantly portrayed by Lee Byung-hun, stakes his claim for one of the only jobs he can get his hands on, and does so with a mad scientist plan fueled by secrecy, violence, and a desire to support his family. The story is an engaging, wild ride with a really, really unexpectedly funny script. On the acting side, the cast all brings home the goods, on top of Byung-hun's performance. But I really want to focus on one thing that separates this movie from almost everything else on the year and kind of everything we've ever seen. I know that sounds dramatic, but it's Park Chan-wook's innovative visual style. There are transitions, camera angles, shots that I have literally never seen before in a movie. I have thousands of movies that I've seen in my life, and yet I sat there watching this movie going, what the hell was that? How did he do that? How did he get that shot? How did he have that transition? How did he think of that? He also has an understanding of modern technology that literally, this one I'm confident in, literally nobody else in Hollywood possesses. The way he works it into the story, shows it on camera, it's all groundbreaking and pretty incredible to look at. Sadly, this movie might fall by the wayside a bit in terms of getting the proper credit it deserves during award season, but Park Chan-wook absolutely belongs on the highest tier of working directors because it's 20 years now. He's just been doing the same thing, releasing great movies. It's time for the top 5. Here we go. And we jump up to movies that I've rated 95 out of 100 and higher, which for me, if I've rated it a 95 out of 100 or higher, we're essentially in perfection. I just want to note that. Number 5. I cannot stress enough that The Testament of Ann Lee checks all the boxes for a movie I typically hate. Specifically, movies about religion and movies set in the 1700s or 1800s. I just don't like them. It's not my cup of tea. It's not for me. And yet, here we stand with me. When I heard about The Testament of Ann Lee, and I watch everything, I was like, I don't even want to fucking see that movie. Boy, what a dummy I was. This thing blew my mind. Amanda Seyfried in the titular role, a performance which really, I think, career-defining and Oscar-worthy for her, but I don't think it's going to get the recognition that it should. The Testament of Ann Lee is an awe-inspiring spectacle. The story of the founder of the devotional sect, the Shakers. Ann Lee is not your traditional historical drama. By the way, if you don't like religious movies or movies from that time period, wait for this third thing. It's a musical. Now, I love musicals, so for me, I think that's great. It's a big reason why I've liked it. When some people hear the word musical, though, they run away. But trust me, the way the filmmakers work the music element into the story is stunning. And it takes what could be your run-of-the-mill historical religious movie and flips it on its head. It's very different. It's not a musical in the sense that you say like a Wicked or Chicago. It's just a very different type of musical. The filmmakers behind the movie deserve a ton of credit, and you may recognize them from last year. The director is Mona Fastvold, who co-wrote the movie with her partner Brady Corbet. If they sound familiar, it might. And if it doesn't, I'll explain why. It's because they did The Brutalist last year. So they did The Brutalist last year, this long epic, which got a ton of recognition. Won Adrian Brody Best Actor. This time, though, they flipped things. They both wrote The Brutalist. They both wrote Ann Lee, but this time Fastvold directed instead of Corbet. And I gotta tell you, I like this one better. For as big and bold of a swing as The Brutalist was, had like an intermission and shit, I think this movie is an even bigger, bolder swing and landed better. The storytelling is mesmerizing. Dynamite acting, as I mentioned, an incredible script. The music will have you running to your Spotify or Apple Music. They didn't release the score, the soundtrack, until like weeks after I saw it, which was torture. But now that it's come out, I've been listening to it on repeat. And it's also just, it's a visual masterpiece. Like I said, anything I rate a 95 or above is essentially a movie I throw in the perfect or near perfect territory. And The Testament of Ann Lee is just that. May not be everyone's cup of tea on first look, but it wasn't mine either. And now look at this, it lands right near the top for the year. So I implore you, please give this a chance. Give The Testament of Ann Lee a chance. I mentioned No Other Choice as the runner-up for Best International Movie of the Year. And at number 4, we have the winner. Sentimental Value is a story of sisters Nora and Agnes reuniting with their estranged famous filmmaker father, who wants to cast Nora for a role in his next big movie. As he tries to kind of stake his his attempt to reclaim his stardom as an acclaimed director. It's a deeply emotional, moving story about family, loss, grief, and it kind of ties in how art plays a factor in dealing with all of that. This was one of my most anticipated movies of the year for a few reasons. And it also has a 95 out of 100 rating for me. I can give you a reason, but I'm going to give you reasons plural because there were many reasons it was an anticipated movie for me. First off, Danish-Norwegian director Joachim Trier, who I do say his name wrong or different every single time, but I think I got it there. He doesn't miss. And you can place this movie right up there with his other releases, such as The Worst Person in the World or Oslo, August 31st. I don't think anyone in the industry is better than Trier at conveying human emotion through directing and writing. He just gets humans. His characters are so impressively, I'd almost say impossibly fleshed out and easy to connect with or get as a moviegoer. He's going to win an Oscar eventually. I don't know when. And then he might win a few more after that. It also helps that the movie is chock full of like elite acting. Elle Fanning continues her impressive run. Inge Ipsdottir Lilius makes a name for herself in support. Renate Reinsve is quietly right up there. This may sound ridiculous if you don't know who she is, but I think she's quietly right up there with Emma Stone as the best working actress in Hollywood. She was in A Different Man last year. She was in Worst Person of the World. She is going to have her moment in the United States soon. And then the great Stellan Skarsgård is on his way to a coronation at the Oscars for his first statue. He was also in Andor, by the way. And I think Andor Season 2 was the best thing I saw this year, period, across movies and TV. I've been waiting to say that, and I think because Stellan Skarsgård was in it, I'll slip it in right there. It's a deeply personal story. Everyone should kind of find relatable for a bunch of reasons. It'll have you fighting back tears, have you laughing, and kind of wanting more and more time with the characters. You just learn to grow and love them because Trier is so good at making you want to learn about them and want to love them. There's a lot to take away from this movie, which is also very quietly, like I said, they tie in art to loss and family and all that, but like it's kind of quietly a movie about making movies. And it all wraps up with what is, I'd say, probably my favorite ending of anything in 2025. Trier did it again. He is very much here to stay, and he's only going to continue releasing great movies. Okay, top three time. Top three movies of the year. Here we go. Back-to-back movies at 3 and 2 that I gave a 96 out of 100, and we will start out with Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another lived up to its immense pre-release hype in my book. It's a modern-day story about ex-revolutionaries, but also one about family and the connection between parents and their kids. Touching family moments, political thrill ride, car chase scenes, hilarious character dialogue. This fast-paced, edgy story kind of has it all. It is the perfect mix to show off Paul Thomas Anderson's just insane range and talent. The fact he's never won an Oscar is absurd, but this is the perfect movie for him to finally win one and kind of reach that mountaintop. And it does seem like we're inching closer to that happening. One Battle is also overflowing. I talked about sentimental value having performances. Talk about One Battle After Another. Leonardo DiCaprio does what he always does, but this time in more of a fun, kind of different backseat father figure role, which shows that he's kind of willing to not just always be this big-time leading man. He can kind of do anything in a range of ways. A lot of dramatic chops in here, but a lot of comedic chops as well. Chase Infinity is pivotal as anyone in this movie. Big kickstart to her career. Tiana Taylor is great. Regina Hall is great as well in support. But it's the two supporting roles that I want to mention next, which are just top. And I mean, they're all top notch, but these are like really up there. Benicio del Toro and Sean Penn. Del Toro is this calming, hilarious presence who delivers some of the best lines, one of the best one-liners we've heard all year. And Penn, in my opinion, putting on a career best showing with his role as the antagonist, Colonel Lockjaw. I think he should be the winner for Best Supporting Actor on the year. It doesn't look like he will, but I do, in my opinion, think he should win. And he's a nasty, kind of psychotic, terrifying character. And I don't think anyone other than Sean Penn could have really channeled the appropriate insanity for that role. Johnny Greenwood, Radiohead guitarist, longtime PTA collaborator, cooked up an incredible score. His song Ocean Waves on the soundtrack plays for 25 consecutive minutes during one of the greatest scenes we've seen so far in the 21st century. I don't think it's an exaggeration either. Without spoiling too much, the on-the-run back and forth between Leo and Del Toro, that scene is riveting, and the music does so much of the legwork in what's already an amazing back and forth between two world-class actors. It's just so damn good. I don't want to be negative. I know I keep saying that. And don't take this as a negative thing, because I think the first 30 minutes of this movie are really damn good. But I just think after the flash forward in this movie, everything from there on is 100 out of 100. It's literally perfect. Like, it's just that good. From the present day stuff, this movie, PTA doesn't miss. There's also this underscored positivity here. A stark contrast, as I mentioned earlier, I kind of teased it, compared to Eddington. It feels very different and fresh for a movie that tackles the climate of the world we live in. Like that PTA kind of landed on the things he landed on. Like I was surprised in a very good way. And don't let the runtime push you away either. I know it's a longer movie, but this is one of the quickest moving movies I've ever seen that is between 2.5 and 3 hours long. You never feel the runtime with this incredible movie. All right, runner-up for Best Movie of the Year with a 96 out of 100. We have Marty Supreme missed out on the top spot. I'm telling you, by a hair. By a hair. It was so damn close. It occupied it for a short while, too. This is the exact type of insane, anxiety-inducing story we've come to expect from anyone with the last name of Safdie, and the type of movie that will have me always kind of standing up and applauding when it wraps up. His brother, Benny, wasn't at his side this time, but Josh Safdie still teamed up with writer Ronald Bronstein once again, who he did with A Good Time and Uncut Gems. Uncut Gems, one of my top 100 best movies ever made. His directing eye is top-notch once again and gives us this beautiful movie and story. It's the story of Marty Mauser, a young table tennis player doing literally anything he can in the 1950s to ascend to the top of the sport for international stardom. Marty Supreme, it's a bit different in terms of a comedic and dramatic beat for Safdie compared to Uncut Gems, his last movie. But it still packs that never-ending kind of like speed bag punch that has you squirming in your chair throughout the entire movie. It just never lets up. Safdie and Bronstein have this ability, this unbelievable ability to craft a main protagonist who is oftentimes a piece of shit, morally corrupt. You could use a bunch of other descriptors as well that would normally have you rooting against them. However, you can't because of how they portray these characters. It's amazing. You always end up rooting for this character that they give you, despite their endless flaws. It's great work. And then you also have to not just credit the writing, because, you know I'm going to get to it, Timothée Chalamet is unbelievable in the role as Marty Mauser. As good as they are at writing these characters, again, you need someone who is as good as him, who is as good as Chalamet to come in and deliver that writing and that dialogue and that feel that they need to make the movie work. And with Chalamet, you get that in spades. It's a career-defining work. I said that for a lot of people this year, but if you told me, Jeff, stop using that buzzword, give it to one person only, it would be Chalamet. It's a performance that I think we'll remember 10, 20, 30 years from now. For as good as he was as Bob Dylan, and as amazing and underappreciated, and I say that with really an intense desire to get more people to appreciate him as Paul Atreides in Dune. Anyway, Chalamet's performance, though, in Marty Supreme it's the true definition of what should win Best Actor at the Oscars, I think. He breathes so much life into an already perfectly written character, makes it his own. He lives inside Marty Mauser, and he just soaks up every second he's on the screen. This is a character that will do anything, step over anyone or anything to get what he desires. And as bad as he may be in spots, the character, thanks to Chalamet, it'll also have you rooting for him and feeling a bit inspired, because who can't relate to the desire in the drive to be the best, right? Prove people wrong, achieve your dreams. That's what this movie's about. The whole cast is amazing too, including a great showing from Gwyneth Paltrow. I think her best performance in years. Also, I am so proud to say this as a Shark Tank diehard fan. Shark Tank's Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, also great in this movie, and he's one of many random castings, as always, as you see from the Safdies. They continue to put in a bunch of random New Yorkers and people to fill roles. A guy I know, Luke Manley, who tried out for a job at my company a couple years ago. He tried out for a job at Barstool Sports, and he didn't get the job, and now he's just a pivotal part of one of the biggest movies of the year. He was playing back and forth, great chemistry with the guy who's going to win Best Actor. That's incredible. The music is also insanely good, as you'd expect. Daniel Lopatin, who did the scores for Uncut Gems and Good Time, he brings this stress-filled score, which adds so much of the richness of an already beautiful-looking movie. I think the music, the needle drop choices were also great, and I love a director who isn't scared of taking music from different eras and putting him into a movie set in a different time period. Like, if it works, it works. And Safdie knows that, and he nails every song choice. Great story, great acting, beautiful score, visually stunning cinematography, and really an atmosphere that is almost unmatched. Marty Supreme, like the other Safdie movies, it's relentless, it's fascinating, and I think it's an some staying power as well, right next to Good Time and Uncut Gems. This is absolutely one of the year's best movies. And finally, here we have it. One movie left standing with a 97 out of 100 overall rating. My number one movie of 2025 is Sinners, Sinners, Sinners. Shame on me for forgetting how fucking incredible Ryan Coogler's Sinners is. I saw it twice in theaters. Both just hypnotic experiences. And then finally on my most recent watch in 4K, at home, physical copy, I got my head on straight and I realized what I can no longer deny. This is the best movie of 2025. When I first dropped my review on LetterBoxd for Sinners, I said something that kind of still rings true. I said, this is the type of movie that just makes you feel alive. It's the type of movie that makes you say, this is why I go to the theater. This is why I buy a ticket. It's why I buy popcorn. It's to sit down and just soak this in. Ryan Coogler pours his heart and soul into this movie, and you really feel it. You see it, and you especially hear it, which I'll get to in a second. It's a story with just so much to say. Faith, family, culture, music, is so much more. And it's just everything Coogler is trying to say just drips off the screen. The music, as I just mentioned, is phenomenal. As with everything he works on. And who is that he? Ludwig Göransson, of course. It's because Ludwig Göransson, everything he does, it delivers a sound you've just never heard before. And it makes sense because he's different from literally every musician who's ever made music for movies, from Creed to Black Panther, Mandalorian, Oppenheimer, and now Sinners. The 41-year-old is going to probably win his third Oscar this year. A year in which he also scored Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. Like, his music's going to be in that movie. It's going to be in the Mandalorian Star Wars movie. It's just nuts. The scene in this movie is a scene that will stick in my mind probably forever. I talked about the one in One Battle. This one's right up there, probably passes it. Legitimately one of the greatest scenes. I'm telling you, one of the greatest things ever put on the big screen. The montage scene with the song I Lied to You, performed by Miles Catton in a great supporting role. In the movie, he performs it as well. Written by Ludwig Göransson. It just sucks the energy out of the theater, and I mean that in the best way. It is jaw-dropping, sensational. Every element of that scene, you're just like, what? Honest to God, I laughed the first time I saw it when it ended, because I was just like, what am I watching right now? This is, it boggled my mind. And then right when that scene's over, Coogler just turns the movie on its head. Snap his fingers. I know a lot of people are kind of aware of what happens in this movie. I won't spoil much of it, but it's a bold, original story, and Coogler pulled it off. Massive scale, massive scope, and even bigger presence. As for the characters, they're all great. Michael B. Jordan plays two. I mentioned there's a couple movies on here that have people playing two roles. This is the big one. Plays two roles. It looks great visually. The visual effects are seamless, but also that's helped in the fact that Michael B. Jordan plays both roles perfectly off each other. In support, you get heat from Haley Steinfeld, Miles Catton, who I just mentioned, in the music scene, Wumi Musaku, Jamie Lawson, and of course, Delroy Lindo, and then Jack O'Connell in a crazy, crazy fucking role. Everybody plays their part in Sinners, from top to bottom, from Coogler right on down to someone who has the tiniest little speck of influence in the movie. This is greatness. It's an all-timer, and I think it's a movie that's going to continue to age as well as anything we've seen this year and kind of live on in cinematic history. My number one movie of the year, Sinners. That's it. That's a wrap. My top 30 movies on the year. Was 2025 an all-time year? No, it wasn't. I would say it was very top-heavy, but there was still a heap load of really excellent movies, and a few you could consider to be in that all-time territory. As always, see everything you can see in the theater. It's how we're meant to see movies, and it only elevates every experience as well. You can find, like I said in the beginning of the video, you can find my ever-evolving rankings as the years go on my LetterBoxd. I got my top 20, or my top movies of 2026 already working now at Jeff D. Lowe, which again, that's the same handle I have on other social platforms. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, as always. Comment, I want to see your top 5 in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the countdown, and we'll see you at the movies, where it's expected to be a pretty monster year in 2026. So long, everyone.